Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have the Mombasa and Kenya tourism board responding to the gang attack on cruise passengers, and they're saying it's way overblown by the media there, etc. And we do have some reports that may say, you know what, maybe they're right, yet they're also contradicting themselves at the same time. So we'll take a look at that. We have Princess Cruise Lines. Majestic Princess has just come out of dry dock and she made a bunch of changes on board, and some of them I am very upset with. We have a Royal Caribbean ship that had to skip the port. Even though it came within like 300 feet of getting to the dock, it turned around and went out to sea. And maybe another ship that, you know what, it probably should have turned around and went out to sea. And then NCL has just told people coming up on an 11-day voyage, yeah, well, all those production shows you love on our ships, we're not going to have them on that sailing. So first off, we have the report that came out, all the news coverage coming out of Kenya and variety of sources, including Yahoo News, MSN, CNN, etc., all were claiming that about 50 youths attacked cruise passengers near the elephant tusks, which is the M-shaped giant elephant tusks. But the tourism board is coming out and saying, you know what, that is really overblown. There wasn't 50 people. There wasn't 50 youths attacking these people. There were only two people. And yeah, it's saying it's just really overblown. I don't know how a story goes from 2 people to 50 people. But apparently it did. And this is in the local media as well as media that picked up on the stories, right? So for instance, CNN will see a headline coming from Kenya along these lines, and they'll run that story on their website, going directly from the news source of the country itself. Well, they're not happy that, they're saying it's perfectly safe there. Any kind of crimes is usually petty crimes there. It's usually somebody stealing somebody's, pickpocketing them or grabbing a purse and running away. One of the things that they'll do is they'll drive up in a motorcycle and grab a purse or a phone while going by and make a speedy getaway. That's the main kind of crime that you might see there. But calling 50 members. Now, one thing that is in their favor is that the cruise line now has come out and said, just to be clear, we stayed in port. We didn't pull out of port because of that. We stayed in port for that day, which the media had called and said, no, they called back the passengers and they had left. So that's one thing in the favor. Now, you got to remember, the cruise lines don't want to lose, stops as well, right? So did they kind of go along with the tourism board in this situation, or, was it overblown? One thing that contradicts everything is that they have come out and said that arrests have already been made. And then they're looking at making further arrests to others. And I'm going, well, if there are only 2 people involved and you already made arrests, plural, who are the other people that are there to arrest? If you are, you know what I mean? Like, if it's only 2 people, how many multiple arrests more are you going to make? So I imagine the truth is somewhere along the middle on this particular story. Next, let's talk about the Harmony of the Seas. She was pulling into Costa Maya. She got within 300 feet. And yeah, she had to turn around because the winds were just gusting too high. On the ship, apparently it was reading about 43 miles per hour. Other places say it should only have been around 13 miles an hour. And even 13 miles an hour on a ship the size of the Harmony makes docking difficult. So they just decided, sorry, it's too dangerous. We're going to pull out to sea and have an extra sea day. Probably a good decision. You don't want to damage the ship. You don't want to put anybody in danger. And, another ship out there, the Discovery Princess, is probably wishing they might have done the same thing as a sudden gust of wind popped up for them in San Francisco. And it pushed the ship. It broke the moorings and the gangway went down into the sea. Luckily, nobody was on the gangway at the time. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was hurt from the moorings snapping and pulling out. And they did end up turning on, the thrusters really quickly before it ran into the other dock. So the crew acted very, very quickly. And then once the tugboats came and they pushed the ship back to the dock, they kept the thrusters on to up against, just in case another sudden gust of wind would pop up. The thrusters are there, plus more moorings were tied off, etc. Just could have been a very scary situation when these things happen, and off it goes. Now the Majestic Princess is just come out of dry dock. It's on a current Mediterranean cruise, and when people used to ask me, what was one of your favorite princess ships? It used to be the Majestic Princess for two reasons. One, they had a unique dining venue on board, the Chinese restaurant Harmony. It was different than all the other royal ships. You could still get a steak on board. You can still go Alfredos on board. I like the fact that now it had a Chinese restaurant, not just, the Italian restaurant again. Well, they've done away with that, and now it's an Italian restaurant, just like every other ship in the fleet, which makes it not stand out anymore. So that's what's disappointing for me. And the food there was delicious. Ate there many, many times. Not to say that Sabatini's isn't good. I'm just saying I can get Sabatini's on every other ship. I like the fact that there were unique venues on this sailing and on this ship. Plus, instead of just having pizza slice up on top deck like every other cruise ship has, it already has hamburgers and hot dogs there. Well, this had a dim sum noodle bar chopsticks, and it would have fresh noodles every day. Again, something completely different that I really appreciated on a unique ship. And you can always get pizza in the buffet. You can always get pizza at Alfredo's restaurant. But now you can get it up on the top deck again. And to this day, I don't think I've eaten in like 3 years at the pizza place up on the pool deck. That's how little I eat on a pizza. I'll get it from someplace else, or I'll order it from room service. It's, a little disappointing to me. Like, the food's fine, food's great. People are gonna love pizza. It's easy for kids, I understand that, but the uniqueness of the Majestic Princess was those restaurants and dining venues that are no longer there, that separated it from every other royal class ship in the fleet. Now they're all exactly the same. So a little disappointment for me. Next, let's talk about the NCL Gem. And I guess we're just informed that the production shows, that Norwegian is famous for, well, they're not going to have any production shows during this 11-day sailing because they just did multiple back-to-back-to-back cruises where the entire ship was booked out for a certain type of cruise, like a 90s cruise, a rock cruise, like Creed, etc. And they said, I guess the timing's just not right, and we're not going to have the production shows on board. But don't worry, we're going to have comedians, guest performer, we'll have a mentalist on board, and we'll have a magic show. But you're not going to have the big production shows. And as compensation, guests are going to be offered a 10% future cruise credit, as well as a $100 onboard credit, non-refundable, that you can use to spend on board. Now, no option to get a refund, no option to move your sailing to another sailing, which, I can understand. However, for me, the production shows are one of the main reasons I go on cruises. That's one of my favorite things to do on the cruises. I'm a big production show guy. I'm at every production show they do. Well, this would be hugely disappointing for me, and I would be really looking to try and move my sailing to something else. If I'm going on an 11-day cruise, I don't want to see just a singer, a comedian, because there's comedy clubs, right? There's places that you can go see comedians. That to me is not a headline anymore. Their comedy clubs are so prevalent in most cruise lines now. It's like taking somebody from the piano bar, putting them up on stage and saying, this is our entertainment for tonight. Might be good entertainment, might be a great musician. It's not a production show. So it's a little disappointing for me. I wish Norwegian would have had the option to just move your cruise to another sailing would have been good for me. Well, let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that story in Mombasa was greatly exaggerated, was probably the truth, and now the tourism board is saying, hey, no, they just don't want to have a black mark on their stop? Or do you think it's probably somewhere along the middle? And hey, would you be disappointed if you got onto a cruise ship and found out, hey, there's no production shows on this sailing at all? Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, I hope you appreciated this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.